Hello everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at creating a Telegram bot with GPT integrated into it inside of a Ruby on Rails application. This was suggested in the suggestions channel over on the Discord. I'll have a link to that in, I guess, the pinned comment maybe, if I remember to do that. But yeah, this was like a month ago, and I finally had some time to sit down and piece together what something like this would look like. So here's the basic idea. We have a combination here. One is the ability to query GPT. So if can I zoom in on Telegram? I'm not a big Telegram user, I guess not. But if I send it a question, I don't know, like what's the capital of Germany? If I send that in, you can see down here, it queries off to OpenAI, and then it comes back and says the capital of Germany is Berlin. I can also come over to here and, do some other stuff if I want to with other commands, but I've also set it up so if I create a new poster, something like hello YouTube, I'll just put some tests in here in the body. You'll see that this sends a message saying, hey, a new post was created for the application. You can read the post here, and if you click on the link, it'll take you to it, but because I'm in WSL, I don't have this set up right now, so it's going to 0.0.0.0 with an HTTPS connection. I don't have that set up, but you can clearly see here how this would link up. I'm just being lazy for the sake of this video because I didn't want to cover everything, under the sun for this. There are some things you're going to have to piece together yourself, but there are videos on my channel about doing HTTPS for localhost to make this work for the Telegram bot inside of WSL as well. But okay, so this is going to use quite a few different gems. We're going to use the Telegram bot RB gem. There is also a Telegram... we're using the Telegram bot Ruby gem, but there is also a Telegram bot gem. It's up to you which one you want to use. They both seem pretty similar. This one seems to use a config and a YAML file. The one I use just kind of runs off of an initializer. We're also going to use the Ruby OpenAI gem. This allows you to connect to a whole host of different LLMs. In this case, we're using just a regular OpenAI LLM. And of course, we're using the Telegram API, but we're doing that through the Telegram bot. So for this, you're going to need to download and install Telegram, and then you're going to need to find the bot father bot. You can just come up here and search for like @bot father. It's the one that has the verified check mark. Basically, this lets you do your create your bots through like a little interface. I don't like it as much as Discord or something else where I can just go to a website and check stuff. This seems a bit too cute for me. But yeah, there's like a whole bunch of different options here. Anyways, we have this. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and create our application to get started here. So we're going to do a cd ... We'll do a Rails new, and I'm just going to, the up arrow key, switch this to video. And I'm just going to use Tailwind for this. Oops, I have to chruby as well, chruby. And now I can Rails new Tailwind. So that'll create our application for us. You're also going to want to come over to OpenAI. So you're going to go to platform.openai.com, and then you're going to have to like create your account. And once you get here, you can come over to your API keys. So that's just /API keys, and you can create a new secret key. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this. I'll revoke this key, create a new secret key. I'll call this Telegram video. And for me, I'm just using this as a default project. Now, they switched the way billing works. So you might run into like a weird little bug. I'm going to click copy on this. Where it gives you like a 429, I want to say, error for Faraday when you try to query OpenAI. If that happens to you, you need to go into your billing and just up your, or like put $5 into your account or whatever. Because now it doesn't bill based on your usage. It uses like credits for billing. So you have to make sure there's money on your account to use their API because they're cringe and they constantly want to farm you for money. So they found a new way to do that. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and open this up in code dot for VS Code. We can move this over here. And then I'm going to do a editor equals code dot space dash wait. Set up my Git over here. Rails credentials : edit. So this just allows us to open this up in VS Code. So you should see the credentials open over here, just like that. Now I got to figure out what I named my API key last time so it matches my notes, and I have it right here. So I set it to OpenAI key. You can name this whatever you want to, and I'm just pasting this in from what I got over here. Just make sure that whatever you name it, that you're then using this variable later on. So that's one of our API keys. Now we need to get the Telegram one. So let's come over to Telegram. We'll come over to the bot father, and we can do, I think it's like /start to start a conversation. And then once you get here, you can type /new bot to create a new bot. And then he'll ask you, what do you want to call it? So I'm going to call this like Deanin Telegram video bot. And now it's going to ask me for an actual name. So I'm going to say it's going to be the Deanin Telegram video underscore bot. Now this one's weird. Sometimes it just doesn't understand that you did type bot there, and it'll just be super cringe about it. But this is the name you need, and this is the API key you need. So for this one, I think I set this one to just be Telegram underscore bot as the token. So we'll do that. We'll say Telegram underscore bot is this. So these are our two API keys. And yeah, basically now we're done here. Let's go ahead and let's close this, and that'll say file encrypted and saved. And now we're good to continue with the rest of the video. So let's say Rails G scaffold. We'll do a post with a title and a body of type text. And now I want to go ahead and add our various gems. So I'm going to do a bundle add for the Telegram-bot-Ruby gem. We're going to do the Ruby-OpenAI, I think is what it's called. Ruby-OpenAI gem. I do use Sidekick for the jobs here, so we're going to use the Sidekick gem. And I think there's one I'm forgetting. Let me just check real quick. No, it looks like that's it. So we have these three gems. Go ahead and run this. There's no extra step required here. These are now just included for you. So let's go ahead and let's create a quick little initializer. So we'll say this is the Telegram underscore bot.rb. And in here, what we want to do is start off by requiring Telegram bot. We're just going to start with the Telegram requirements first, and then we're going to move over to the rest of it. Okay. So because we're going to be using Sidekick, we're going to want to do a, well, we're going to use Sidekick in a little bit, but we might as well add it right now. Let's come into our proc file and just paste this in. So this is just adding another line to start our Sidekick server. And then if you don't have Redis started, you can do a sudo service Redis-server start to start your Redis server. If you don't have it installed, then install the Redis server, however you need to. Okay, so we have that. Now what we want to do in our initializer is we want to make sure that we are optionally starting our Telegram job. Well, first, we want to make sure that we can get the ID of the chat, because each of these chats has a different ID. You can see here I had it like printing out the ID as I tried to get this to work. So we have to get it to spit out an ID for us. So the way we do this is we connect to the bot by grabbing our API key. Now, real quick, before we do anything else, this is going to break if we run our application multiple times. It's going to tell us like, hey, you're already using this API key. Multiple bots can't run at the same time. So we can actually put in a rescue block for the Telegram errors. I forget what error it is, so I just have like a generic error here. And then you want to call, I think it's the delete webhook is the key one. I tried stop first, that one didn't work, but the delete webhook from the API did work. So where is this Telegram bot coming from? Well, that's what we're going to create right now. So we need to create this variable right here by saying Telegram bot client run. We pass in our token. Then for our bot, we just say for the Rails application config, we're going to create something called a Telegram underscore bot, and we're going to set that equal to this bot we just ran. So now we're using this bot that we just ran to stop the webhook, and this will allow us to start and stop our server as needed. So let's go ahead and let's come into our routes. We have our resources for our posts, and Rails is nice enough to give us a default route down here for a post index. So now that we have that, we can do a bin/dev to start our server. You'll see that some stuff happens with Redis, but nothing really special happens. We can then come over to localhost port 3000. It'll tell us to run our migrations. So we run those, and now we can create a new post. But the problem is we still don't have the ID for our chat. So what we'll do is we'll come into our do block here, and we'll paste in a quick little bot.listen. So this is going to take any message that's sent to the bot in some way or another. And then in the case where the message has text, we're going to check if it has /start or /stop. If it has either, it'll just send a message to the chat with an ID that was in the message chat ID. So like whatever chat message you send or whatever chat room you send it a message in, it has that ID attached to the message itself. So as long as we can read the message, we can read the message's ID. So we send it back to that same chat room and we say, hello, here's your name. And then we also pass it the chat ID. We just do this for start and stop for the sake of testing this. Because this is an initializer, we do have to restart the server. So let's come over here. And now I have to come up to the bot father. I have to remember what I called this monstrosity, which it looks like is Deanin Telegram video bot, which is right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna click start on this. So that sends a /start message, and you'll see that nothing seems to happen. The reason for this is probably because I forgot to save the file. So let's go ahead and let's stop the server after we've saved it and restart. Might as well keep that in so you can see the errors. Now if I type /start, you should hopefully see that it returns this message right here. So it says, hello, Dean, chat ID of this. So that's clearly coming from here, but now we have our chat ID. So now when we create a post, let's post to the group chat with this bot somehow. So how do we do that? Well, we have to come over to here on the left. We can click new group. I'm going to call this Deanin video bot group or something. Click next, and I'll just click create. Now in here in this Deanin video bot group, I think I can do a view group info or maybe manage group. I come into manage group. I come into members, and then I add a member, and I have to add that Deanin Telegram video _ bot. Grab that, add the bot, show the last however many messages, which does unfortunately blow up our bot down here. So it says undefined method text for an instance of bot channel member updated. So that is something where you have to, you're going to get different messages that don't have text. So you're going to have to handle these cases better than I am here, but we're just doing a demo. So this is fine. We're going to come over here now, and we need to manage the group again. We have to make the bot a administrator, I think. So we're going to say add administrator, this bot, and we'll just say, sure, it can do whatever is the default. And we'll say close. So now if we save this and we run our bin/dev again, it should start the server. But it's still blowing up for some reason because it still sees that undefined method text for that. So now okay, so it looks like that works. Let me go ahead and run this. So we should still get our, oh, I guess we're not getting our errors now because I didn't break it properly. So what we're going to do up here, we're going to run into gracefully stopping. Hopefully it doesn't look like it's upset. But what we can do is we can just say next unless message dot is a Telegram bot types message. So we'll just check for the specific type. And that should hopefully stop this from going boom every time we start the bot. Now there's another thing we can do to make sure that we don't process old messages. So every time we start the bot, it doesn't go through our entire message history and respond to every message again. We can actually set the API get updates offset to be -1. That should work as well. Now this right here is probably happening because we have to capture the signal int and terms, and we have to tell it to stop the bot in those cases. I think that should hopefully stop those errors. So let me go ahead and run the server. And then if we hit Control-C, now we get a clean stop. So that's good. So we're good there. Okay, now let's come over here and let's try to type /start in our group chat. So this is our chat with 2 members. I'll click /start. You can see here it gives us a ID. What I've noticed is a DM ID usually is a positive number and a group chat is usually a negative number. So let's copy this negative number. Let's come into our post.rb, and now let's set it up so that our post.rb can do the callback stuff. So we'll say after create tell Telegram bot to send a message. It's not the best name. Tell Telegram bot, something like that. Okay, so let's start with the chat ID, which is going to be equal to this. And I'm actually going to put this inside quotes just in case. And then let's also do the token real quick, where we're just going to say this is the Rails application credentials dig for the Telegram bot. Cool. Now for our URL, because it does want that URL for the button, we can actually come down here. We can just say URL is rails.application.routes.url-helpers.post URL because we're using posts. And then we pass in ourself for the post. So that's what's going to add the /post/1, for example. And then for the host, we're just going to set it to HTTPS 0.0.0.0 because if you leave this as localhost and HTTP, it'll just error out. So this just allows us to test it in localhost environment, development environment, but for like a production server, you would then put in your actual URL. Okay. You also have other options like just not running through WSL or fixing your HTTPS and WSL to allow this. But here we go. Now for our keyboards, the bot uses something called a keyboard, which is basically just a way to define what buttons are going to be under the message. So remember we had that read post button. Well, yeah, there's a bunch of different buttons you can add there, and you can scroll through the Telegram bot Ruby for a bunch of examples of different keyboards. You have like the go to Google button, which takes you to google.com. So it's basically just a fancy way of creating a link. You have a button that does like has text that says touch me, and then a callback that just does something. And you have a way to like switch to an inline query. So a way to like search something inline. So you can get really fancy with these, but here I'm just using the KB. Then I have the markup, which I just kind of copied from here, which just sets it to use the KB keyboard. And then finally, we send the message after we're done here. You probably don't want to put this in your post model because it does make it a little bloated, but that's fine. So we just call bot, which remember we're getting from nowhere because we forgot to set our bot. So let me go ahead and grab that. We have our bot, which we're getting from that Rails application config Telegram bot variable we made earlier. So that's coming from here where we assigned it. So it just lets us grab it real quick. Then we say bot.api. We always use the API method to do stuff. Send message. We pass in the chat ID, which is that one we got back from our Telegram message earlier where it told us what our ID was. So we send it to that chat room, which is the group chat specifically, with a text of new post created for our title. And we give it a reply markup of our markup. So that's just our keyboard that we're passing back. And then we have a parse mode of markdown, which I don't even know if this does anything. I think I just copied that off the internet somewhere. Anyways, this chat ID is probably the biggest pain point for a lot of you because you might want to have like custom chat rooms or whatever. That's where you would have to pull this ID from somewhere else. And instead of just, automatically grabbing it here, you could just read the message as it comes through your Rails app or something. Intercept this message right here and just grab your message ID from here and just add it to your server or something. It really depends on how you want to do it, but you're probably going to have to set it up somewhere in here in this block so that when you do get a message, you can check if it's in the right chat room or you check when it's registered or something like that. But yeah, so this is now good. We have our chat ID and we can now save this. So let's come over to our application, create a new post. I'll say test and case. I'll click create post. You can see down here, I immediately get a notification saying that there's a new post here. So new post created, test, and it has a link to read the post. But again, this doesn't work for me because I'm in WSL right now and I haven't set this up properly. That's fine though. This button now works. So every time you create a post in your application, your Telegram group will be notified of it. So now let's go ahead and let's try to do the OpenAI stuff, right? Okay, so for the OpenAI stuff, what we want to do is stop our server. And we're going to do a git add dot git commit -m and say this is the Telegram part, just in case you want to stop here. You're good. Now you have that commit to fall back on. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try to do the hard part. So what we want to do is a Rails G, I think it's sidekick :job for the Telegram bot worker, but I think I don't remember if this is what I called it. So we're going to generate this. Okay, so we have accidentally created a problem before I was ready to address it. So I'll just go ahead and do it right now. First things first, I need to stop this server somehow, which I don't think I can do because it doesn't even recognize itself as running right now. So let's do this. We'll do kill -9 25550. That should hopefully, no. Okay, so we'll just have to CD back into the directory. So we'll say /code. YouTube, Rails, Telegram, video. Okay, so in here, what we want to do is we want to make sure that our SIG_int isn't sending us into a infinite loop here whenever we try to run any sort of generator or start our servers. So the way that I had this set up before was I wasn't doing this in our initializer. So the initializer is fine to figure out where your message comes from initially, so you can just grab it real quick. But after you're done with that, you're probably going to want to remove this. So now we're going to comment this out, and then we'll do a Rails G sidekick job Telegram bot worker. So that creates our bot worker for us. So this bot listen loop right here is breaking it for us, right? So all of this stuff you would probably want to throw into another sidekick job, just have it running in the background so you're not blocking your main thread or anything. Okay, we have this now. Let's come up to our, not our workers, our jobs. I think it put it in maybe, or put it in sidekick. We'll grab this. We'll just put it in the workers folder. Move it over to workers because it is our worker. Although it is named questionably now because of the command I ran, but that's fine. So we have our Telegram bot worker job. First thing I want to do is tell it that this is actually a worker. Then I want to say, here's your sidekick options. There's probably a worker specific generator. I just usually create these files by hand. So for perform, it's going to take in the token. And then it's going to say, I'm starting the bot. So here are 2 logging messages. Then we just create a new instance of a class we don't have yet. And then we just call start bot. Okay, so first things first, let's call this job specifically. To do that, let's come back into our initializer. In our initializer at the top, we're going to call the job. We're just going to do another after initialize, and then we're just going to call Telegram bot worker job, which is this one, .perform async, and then we're going to pass in our Telegram bot token. That's basically it for this. The second part of our application here is going to be, let me come back here. It's going to be getting rid of this. we don't need this anymore. And what we want to do is get rid of the, well, I guess we can leave the bot API updates. That's entirely up to you. And then we just want to set the bot here. We have our token, and then we're basically done. These can be moved if you want to, or you can keep them here. I don't know if these will cause problems, but that's fine. So now everything happens in here, and this is calling this Telegram bot, Telegram botter class. So let's come into our app, new folder. We'll call this services. And then in our services, we'll create a new file, and we'll just call this the Telegram botter.rb or Telegram botter service, whatever you want to call it. In here, we need to require two things. One is going to be OpenAI, and the other one is going to be the Telegram bot. And then we're going to create our class name. So first things first, we have a token that we're going to be using, which we don't need here because I've changed how this logic works. So let's start with the start bot method. Start bot. So this is just going to take in our token. This is our entry point from our Sidekick job. In here, we do the same thing we did before, where we just run a quick little client. In here, we can once again say that our Rails application config Telegram bot is equal to the Telegram bot. We can then say, all right, here's your get updates. And then you can do your bot listen if you want to. So we'll just come in here and we'll say bot.listen. So bot listen to the message, you get a message received, log into your console, and then you just check if the message.text.starts with /question, then you know that you're asking a question. And then you just say you ask a question in the chat with the ID of message.chat.id. This is optional. This is just, again, to help us figure out what chat all of these things are happening in. And then we just check what the response is when we ask OpenAI for this message. If we get a response back, we can send the message back to our message.chat.id chat room with a text and response.dig of our choices, 0, message, and content. That's just because of how the OpenAI response is structured. We have to grab our message content from the first item or the 0th item. Otherwise, we just say no response. And if we get an error back, we just say error processing your request. And then once again, down here, somewhere we need to come down to the bottom of our def start bot right here, hit enter, go up one, and then rescue our Telegram bot exceptions to do a Telegram bot stop and API delete webhook. Then we also in here can put our quick little sig terms if you want to. And then we need to do our OpenAI method. So we'll do that up top. We'll say def ask OpenAI a message or question, whatever you want to call it. So first thing we want to do here is we need to get rid of the /question part because we don't want to send the /question part of the question to OpenAI. Then we have to grab our OpenAI key, which we just do by grabbing it from our credentials again. Then we say create a new client for OpenAI, OpenAI client.new with an access token of our OpenAI key. Then we send a message off to the GPT model of our choosing. In this case, I went with GPT-3.5-turbo. You can look at the gem itself to see all of the different options. If you want to go to OpenAI specifically, I think you can go over to the playground, select, and you have a whole bunch of options here you can select from. In my case, I just went with 3.5-turbo, but there's also 4.0, 4.0-turbo, etc. If that's something you're into. So, you know, maybe you switch this to like 4.0. Save it, and then we can go from here. Now we have this response, but we still have to return the response. We just come down here and we just return it. You can also get rid of the response right here if you want to. So it just returns the client and then get rid of this. I just like to have the response at the bottom in case you want to do something in the middle with the response to pretty it up. So that's that. This should be roughly 60 lines of code. Cool, so we're good there. Let me go ahead and run a bin/dev again to start our server. So let's go ahead and start everything up. This looks good. Now let's come over to our Telegram. You can see right here, we got an error code conflict terminated by get update request. This is the thing that tells us that another bot instance was already running, which is what we run into because our Telegram bot initializer has some stuff in it right here, where it does the client run for the Telegram bot, and then it gets upset at us. But for right now, this is fine. We have our two initializers in here. Let me come into our group chat and just do a test. We can go ahead and run a test. You'll see nothing gets returned. Now we can come in here and we can do a /question. And I don't think this will work because it's probably upset at us for having multiple things running at the same time, but we'll go ahead and test this. We'll say, what's the capital of France? Oops, France. Go ahead and run that. You'll see nothing appears down here because it is in fact upset with us. So if we stop our server, and then we start our server again, we can see if this gets rid of the error. And see, you can see right here, So this is the problem, right? Because it queries the OpenAI API endpoint multiple times with the same query. So this is where you have to make sure that you have your bot.api.getUpdates offset set properly so that you don't do this every time. Otherwise, you're going to be absolutely in a pain point when you're when you're coming to your billing. So that is something to keep an eye on. I'm just going to leave it like this. And then you can make sure that all of these delete webhooks and the SIG term traps are happening everywhere where they need to, just to make sure. There's probably some more cleanup required here, but at least now you have this working. So if we try something like /question, I don't know, let's do one more. What's the capital of Japan? Or maybe I should do a better question. Like, what color is the sky during autumn? I don't know, just the same color it always is. The color of the sky during autumn can vary depending on several factors, including time of day, weather conditions, and geographic location. Generally, on clear days, the sky is typically a brighter blue, similar to other times of the year. However, and then this is where it gets cut off to its second sentence. So that's where you got to fine tune the max tokens, the temperature, and the other parameters that OpenAI gives you access to. But I'm going to leave that as an exercise for the viewer, because really the only point here was just to get like a OpenAI integrated with your Telegram bot and get a Telegram bot working, which I think it seems to be working fairly well right now. We can also, I think, grab this and message it directly, maybe send a message. And then here we can do a /question. What color is the sea? And you can see right here, you ask the question with the chat or whatever, and then the color of the sea can vary to blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares. So cool. So that's working for DMs and for the specific chats. And then any additional logic for like billing, you would want to put in front of that so that I can't just add your bot to my, my group and then use your bot for free and run up your bill. So that is something you're going to want to take a look at. But for now, hopefully this is satisfactory. pretty unique use case. I've never used Telegram before. But yeah, hopefully this was informative and helpful, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.